Okay, number 5 is fleet cost. So this is that overall expense control to maximize the profitability, right? You're not a cost center, remember? You are a revenue generator in your organization. So when you think about overall fleet expense, think about it in terms of maximizing profitability. So we talked about that, right? When we talked about vehicle downtime, be able to put numbers around the ways that what you're doing is impacting the organization in a positive way: efficiency, safety, cost. Okay. So for overall fleet costs, the goal is continuous improvement year over year. Track performance against budget, right? Benchmark against yourself in those profiles we talked about. If you have your cars versus cars, trucks versus trucks, vans versus vans, right? So benchmark against yourself inside your profiles, against other fleets in the industry. If you can, again, using that profile type of methodology. So TCO, that calculation, we should consider the upfront cost of the asset and then every expense that it will incur in association with the asset throughout its entire useful life, right? And then minus the remaining value of the property. So, TCO is something that, you can benchmark year over year. I think the key to overall fleet cost KPIs is tying in overall fleet cost to operational KPIs, right? We've talked about that already today, but this is going to increase buy-in and compliance around the things that you're trying to drive, your initiatives. Because when operations leaders can connect the dots between their operational KPIs and their fleet KPIs, everybody wins. All right. Think about a fleet scorecard for the organization, your regions, your divisions, your stores. Okay. Let's do an example here. So you have a service fleet. So this idea of tying that operational KPI into the fleet cost. So fleet cost per mile. So who's driving the miles, right? The drivers, and they're working for the organization within those units, business units. So that fleet cost per mile. The overall fleet cost for the customers you're going to serve. So think about a service fleet who goes out and does mobile customer service, right? So taking overall fleet cost divided by the mobile customers that we're serving, right? Great idea, because operational leaders can say, wow, every time I go out and serve a customer, it costs me this much. The profit margin that they have, we're cutting into that. The fleet costs are cutting into that. But when you can show them how reducing fleet costs improves their profitability, ta-da, right? Fleet cost for units delivered for a distribution fleet. So, same concept, right? When those distribution leaders can go, okay, so when every time I make a delivery, or every time I deliver, for every unit that I deliver, here's how the fleet cost affects my performance and my profitability. There you go. Also think about doing gallons per mobile customer served, or gallons per units delivered. Okay. Again, getting people on board with your fuel initiatives, right? Maintenance cost per mile, really great metric. Maintenance cost per mobile customer served or units delivered. So every time that you can really connect the dots between fleet and operations and the way that each unit measures themselves, when you bring that together, that puts that operational leader in the seat to help you drive results for the overall fleet cost KPIs, right? So love to talk more about what you're doing if anybody's doing that. I think it worked very well in my prior life, and would love to hear about what you're thinking about in terms of, operational and fleet costs being tied in with those types of KPIs. And then again, it's comparing month over month, quarter to quarter, year over year. It's great to use for forecasting, right? So these total fleet cost KPIs. So, a lot of businesses, they're doing that comparison 6 and 6, 7 and 5, 8 and 4. So when you're 8 months through the year and you've got 4 months to go, they're saying, okay, how have we performed for these first 8 months or 6, 7, or 8 months? How do we forecast we're going to do the balance of the year? At that point, that's when budgeting happens. And these are things to consider. Think of things that have changed in the environment, maybe maintenance labor costs, tire pricing, etc. But having good data and good KPIs will help you be a great contributor to your upcoming year's budget. So as your company starts to evaluate how you're doing and getting ready to look at next year's budget, you can provide all this great data and information so you make sure that you're budgeted correctly and that you're considering things that your organization won't be thinking about as it relates to overall fleet cost.